Thanks, Zach. Good morning. We are underway as far as practice is concerned, and February 13th at Louisville we open up. So it's guys are working hard. It's been we've had a little bit more time this year than in the past. I think we've had 2 extra weeks to get ready, so that has certainly helped. But with the weather the way it is, I don't know that we'll see a fly ball until the day before the first game. So that's baseball in the North, I guess. Our opening day is during the week after the Super Bowl and right in the middle of the Winter Olympics, if that makes any sense. So I don't see that it makes any sense, but that's what they tell us, and that's when we're going to play. But first and foremost, our first pitch dinner is coming up February 1st. We've got a lot of people coming. We've had great support from our community ever since I've been here. This is my 18th first pitch dinner, and it's just been a great way for us to kick off our season. Great way for me to selfishly, I guess, showcase my guys to the public. And so we have Gary Lytle, who unfortunately passed away last May. But is our alum of the year, and he'll be represented by his family on the first. And then our athletic director, Jay Batt, will be our keynote speaker. So should have a couple alums that'll make some guest appearances as well, so that should be a lot of fun. But it's as hard as it is to believe, it's almost baseball season, so get ready. So questions?
Hey, Coach, good to see you enjoyed the first pitch dinner. I still got a bunch of little mini bets around. There was a time that the conversation would just be about baseball, but now with this new era in college sports, you got to put your GM hat on. How does the first pitch kind of make the connection with the other part of the sport that you have to be mindful of, not just recruiting good talent, but the inner workings of it with the new era that we're in right now?
Yeah, that's creeping its way into baseball. Probably not as quickly as it has in football and basketball, but it's still a part of where we're headed. And so I think our guys getting involved in the community and being visible in the community, I think, is really important for future opportunities for those guys. And so certainly it isn't something, to your point, that we haven't really thought about in the past, but that is here now, and the whole landscape is completely different. And so I think we're all trying to navigate that in our sport as the best way possible. I think there are certainly there's a disparity in our conference and then across the Power Four as far as the opportunities that maybe some programs have versus scholarships and opportunities that other programs have. But at the end of the day, you still got to get 27 guys out, and so that's what our focus is. And we're different than football and basketball in that bigger, faster, stronger doesn't always win. And so with our guys, it's about executing, and if you execute, then you give yourself a good chance. Really tough schedule early. Against some top 10 programs, top 5 programs in the country that have some resources that they're able to use that we probably don't right now. But that's we've never really shied away from anybody. So we're going to go out and compete and get after it.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Coach.
As far as the roster goes, returning a guy like Ryan, how big is that? And then 2, 3, 4 months from now, who are some guys you think we might be talking about?
Yeah, so Ryan McKay is back. He should be at the top of the order for us. Was voted one of the top 100 players in college baseball just last week. So great honor for him and good for our program. We got a lot of returning guys as far as in the batting order is concerned. We lose a guy like Joe Jirwa, who's the pitcher of the year of the conference. It's tough to replace, but at the same time, I think you usually lose your best guy on the mound on a yearly basis, and so it's an opportunity for other guys to step up. And other guys that have been here for a long time. Nolan Higgins is a senior, Logan Peaker is a junior, and there are a lot of other guys that haven't had to be in that role yet because Joe was that guy for the last really 2 years. And now it's their opportunity. So, there's a lot of questions, and I think there are always a lot of questions going into the year, and we'll learn a lot those first, 3 weeks, and then week 4 is the conference opener at Nebraska. So, we'll a lot of guys are going to have opportunities. We'll give a lot of guys some chances to to go out and play and see what happens. And but I like the mix of young guys versus older guys that we have in our program. I think the experienced guys, and with a couple transfers, I think there are guys that are going to jump in and really help right away. And then there's a couple freshmen that we're really, really excited about. And you just you don't know how they're going to react to college baseball, but I think once they really settle in and get their feet on the ground, I think they're going to be very, very good players for us. So excited.
Let's play two.
I'm in.
I don't think you ever started a season quite like this. Louisville, Texas, out of the gate. Are you ready for that? I know you don't concede anything. Are you ready for the possibility of getting your lunch and still making your team better in the first couple weeks?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've played some tough schedules in the past. This might be the toughest, but the first 2 weekends. But again, at the same time, let's see what we're made of. I don't know that we've ever gone into the first couple weekends looking at predictions or thinking we got to come out of here 4-2 or 5-1 or anything like that. We started off really quickly last season, which was great, but at the same time, this is all in preparation for a very good conference, and so I think these 2 weekends, more than any probably in the past, will have us ready to go out and play Nebraska in week 4, and so that's really the kind of the genesis behind that. There are some other factors I think that were involved in the scheduling, the way that we scheduled it, but I like playing in those kind of atmospheres. We haven't played Louisville at their place since I've been here. We played them in the Big Ten Big East Challenge once or twice. We haven't been to Texas. I was there once as an assistant a long time ago, but to play in that type of regional atmosphere is something that our guys are never going to forget, and so I think it's a great experience for them. And again, it's going to get us ready to open up at Nebraska in the first, second weekend of March, whenever that is. So
It may sound crazy, but this brutal winter, your guys even more anxious to get outside and get going and get south?
yeah, I think so. I mean, it's I don't know that we've ever experienced something like this. Certainly not recently. And there have been very few times where have not been able to get outside before we played, and this looks like it's going to be one of them. So if you got any pull with your weatherman, put in a good word for me. But at the same time, our guys have always been ready. I think we're in 17 season openers. I think we're like 14-3, 15-2, something like that. So our guys know how to get ready inside. We feel like we're prepared every year, and I don't think this year is going to be any different. So,
how does having a player like Jerwa, who trusted the process, got developed here, drafted, help the younger guys, and also maybe you would bring future players here?
Well, yeah. As far as the second part of that, Ian, I think it proves that our guys, my assistants especially, do an unbelievable job of developing players. And Joseph wasn't drafted out of high school. As a tall, lanky kid, 6'7", 175 pounds, but came in and, he put the work in, not only on the field, but in the weight room, in the classroom, learning how to eat and how to, gain weight and get bigger, stronger, things like that. And my pitching coach and our recruiting guys, I mean, they do an unbelievable job of developing talent. And so I think, that's something that we've tried to hang our hat on throughout our entire time here. And we've talked about it with our returning guys since day one. I mean, they had a front row seat to the blueprint of how it goes. And if you're paying attention a year ago, and I certainly hope most of our guys were, then you see what goes into it before a start, between starts. This time of year, even going back to the fall, and then even how the way Joe carried himself in the dugout, when he was pitching between innings, when he wasn't pitching, with some of the things that he did. And, I brought that up to a couple of our guys, in the fall, that, if you want to be, if you want to have a type of year that Joe had here, then I think you need to do some of the things that Joe did. And, sometimes that comes, or that gets, that sinks in. Sometimes it really doesn't. But it's the truth of that was the blueprint, and if guys are paying attention to it, then hopefully that should be able to help them take the next step, which is what we're going to need.
I know you got Illinois down in South Carolina, in Greenville, but has there been talk within the Big Ten to try and get some sort of centralized showcase event within the conference to maybe try and consolidate some of those concert games into one spot, almost like a mini Big Ten tournament to take advantage of some weather somewhere?
We've talked about that, Chris. We've talked about going a couple different places in the country and kind of having an extravaganza type of thing where you're going to play. I think there's enough schools in the league right now, though, that that first weekend in early March, we're not going to play at home, but we can go on the road and be able to find a place to play. And I think there's plenty of, obviously, the West Coast schools and Maryland and even Ohio State, I think sometimes are playing at home that weekend. So we have enough places to go that the league hasn't decided to jump on something like that yet. We're traveling anyway, but that would be an expense for both Big Ten schools, I think, and that's probably one of the reasons that hasn't happened. But, look, I'm looking for green grass or green turf or, wherever. We'll play wherever we can, and it has to be 28 degrees for us to play. So, we'll do what we need to do, whether they send us to Arizona or here.
Oh, sorry, I got a different question for you about green. With the added conference schools, all the far-flung places now, how have you seen the television growth within the sport in terms of, you see a lot of other sports have gotten more and more visibility. How has that helped baseball?
Yeah, I think that's helped overall across the landscape of the league. I think it's helped a lot. I mean, obviously the success that UCLA had last year getting to the World Series and some of the other programs that we've had, but coverage I think that we do get on the Big Ten network and then some other networks has been pretty good. We have 17 teams in the league, so it's tough to get yourself on TV every week because there's so many different schools that are playing. But I think you look at some of the schools that are playing in some high-profile events early, and then schools I think like us that are playing, 2 top 5 teams. I think it all adds to the publicity for our conference, and it continues to show people that we play a really, really good brand of baseball in our league, and so we're going to keep doing it.
Anything else?
All right, thanks so much.
I think the